President Mahama received 3 petitions for the removal of Chief Justice Tokono. No received this petition were forwarded the Council of State for. Na asem we be told Ghana how you deja MPP for Okra, MP for Menchia, I think North at the Assembly Eco Court, Assembly Supreme Court says here. No, and a global info analytics Musa Dankwane Dano, Akoya survey a beam. Any name said in the run-up to the 2024 election, Musa Dankwane, the only pollster, Wutimi predicted the outcome of the 2024 general election correctly. Now, this time around, what is you group? Akoya survey, say President Mahama Pese Oyi, a Chief Justice Tokono from Ghana for Ejitu Manaso Munintu. Na Akoya survey, 52% of Ghanaians say Omujitum. Say support President Mahama decision what take say opesu a Chief Justice Tokono e dey efiri ho no na means obi am ko tie nsema ekwan Musa Dankwa efa so ye ne survey o chirichiri mu sei mu ko tie.
Tell us exactly the methodology you use for this poll. How many people did you sample in this poll?
Good evening, Alfred, for having me. This is a telephone interview that was conducted between 7th April and today, in fact. We interviewed 2,545 voters from all the 16 regions randomly.
2,545?
Yes.
In a telephone poll. And yes. What was the question to them?
We asked them if they support the move to remove the Chief Justice from office. And the answers were strongly support, somehow support, strongly opposed, somehow opposed, neutral, and I don't have an opinion.
I see. And what was the outcome?
The outcome is that 52% of Ghanaian voters support the removal of the Chief Justice. And only 20% oppose it. 10% do not have an opinion, and around 18% were neutral.
So that's what we have on the screen there. You said 52% of the 2,545 of this telephone poll respondents support the removal of the Chief Justice. 18% say, well, they don't have a position on it. 20% oppose, and 10% also are in there as well. But is this a nationally representative poll? The 2,545 is it across all 16 regions?
Yes, across all the 16 regions.
And in all 276 constituencies?
No, this is a national base, so randomly called numbers from the regions. So samples were assigned to each region, and each region's quota were assigned from all the constituencies. So randomly, whatever number that we are able to get from regional quota, we did that.
I see right. I see the regional breakdown that you gave in the poll as well. Western North region appears to be having the highest in terms of the regional breakdown. 82% of the respondents there. Any reason why?
No, we don't know. These are just random polls. If you look at those regions that are supporting her removal very strongly, you have Western North 82%, Volta region 76%, Savannah 66%, OT 70%, Greater Accra 58%, Ifa Central region 51%, Bono East 72%, Bono 82%. So these are the regions with over 50% support for her removal.
I see, and that straight question to them, whether they want her removed or not, is what you posed to them. There were no follow-up questions as with the responses they gave?
No, there was another question which we haven't published fully yet. We asked them if she is found to have broken the law. For those who said they oppose and neutral or they have no opinion, we asked them a further question, whether if she is found to have broken the law, would they support her removal? That detail will be released tomorrow, God willing. But it is also, we're fairly divided for those who didn't support the initial process.
I see. But I see another bar graph that represents their party affiliation. So that's a question you ask them as well, as whether they belong to MPP or NDC.
At the end of the survey, we asked them which party they normally vote for. And the response shows that for those who say their NPP, 16% support the removal, 46% oppose it. For those who say they are NDC, 83% support the removal, but 3% oppose it. And for those who are floating voters, 46% support and 13% oppose. And those who support other smaller parties, 37% support and 9% oppose. And for those who don't disclose their party affiliation, 34% support and 18% oppose.
Okay, so just for the benefit of our viewers, the color code we use to represent these bars, the red bars you see there represents those who are in support of,
who are opposed, red opposed. In your own chat, sorry,
yes, I'm explaining what we did out of your poll.
Okay.
Right, because we had to, as it were, make your poll graphically representative for our screen. Okay, so it's essentially your detail, but then again, redesigning it just for the readership and then also the visibility for our viewers. So what you see there, the red bar represent those who are in support of the question that you asked, whether they support the attempt to remove the Chief Justice. On the part of the MPP supporters or the persons whom you sampled who say they normally vote for the MPP, 16% of them say they support it. And did you follow up to ask them why? Or it was just...
No. This is a close-ended question.
Okay. I see. And 46% oppose. But in the case of the NDC, 83% of the respondents say they support her removal. And did that also cut across some of the regions we know are the stronghold for the NDC?
I mean, yes, it does. If you look at the regions, Western North is 82%, Volta 76%, Kritakra 58%, Oti 70%, Savannah 66%. Now, interestingly, even in the Ashanti region, 37% support, 32% oppose. So majority of by almost 5%. So there are more people in Ashanti region who want to remove as a Chief Justice.
I see. Because then Western North against the Volta region, which is described as the World Bank for the NDC, comes in second. And you say that these samples were evenly distributed?
No, they were distributed based on the voter population of each region.
Okay. So, but obviously there are more voters in the Volta region than the Western North region.
Yes.
So why is it the case that we had the Western North region respondents being the highest in those saying they support?
No, it means that there are a higher proportion of people in the Western North who went to remove than in the Volta region. In
the Volta region. I see. Which is the World Bank of the NDC.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. But but then again, that leads us to the next conversation also about the position that, for instance, the minority takes. There are others who also hold the view that maybe this poll was premature because the process is ongoing and it hasn't really progressed as yet because of, for instance, the case in court, and the only communication we have is the Chief Justice responding to the petitions. We don't know what the details of the petitions are as yet. Would you agree with those who say that this was premature?
I disagree, because by law or by the Constitution, the process has started, hasn't it? So we ask the voters whether they support the process and the move to remove her. This does not or should not impact on the judicial process. This is a public opinion. And indeed, if you look at the work we did previously on the IGP, unfortunately, you know, the question came after he has been dismissed. And we didn't want to be found in the same situation as the IGP. So we wanted to see the public opinion, whether in favor or not. And that is without prejudice to the legal process that has been undertaken. This is a public opinion, and it's a public opinion, and it will remain so.
Well, Zanako, I appreciate you for this. And kindly stay with me, because the next issue we're going to talk about in a bit, you've also done a poll in there already regarding the MPP's reorganization. But Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner joining us on the telephone. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Do you listen to the the minorities press conference, they raised concerns about this entire process and even gives details of some of the allegations against the Chief Justice, which they say are frivolous. And then Alexander Afenyo Markin as well, making that appeal to the justices at the Supreme Court. Now, why do you have the view that the channel that the minority and indeed Afenyo Markin took in putting out their concerns about this entire process really is not right? Why is that?
That's all I can say. Okay, so my viewpoint is that the minority, instead of coming out publicly to describe the petitions as frivolous and to make other unsavory allegations, should have sought a back channel form of communication with the president. As to say, it shouldn't be public, where they will seek to show him why the petitions are frivolous. That would have been better. But you see, this current situation in which they've publicly denounced the petitions and said so many unsavory things, including saying that the new Chief Justice, if appointed, the person they think will be appointed is a sympathizer of the NDC and all that, they've shot themselves in the foot because of several reasons. One, just as President Akufo-Addo published his ruling on the prima facie case when Professor Kweku Asare petitioned against the removal of the Chief Justice, President Mahama is going to publish that prima facie ruling as well. So it means that Ghanaians are going to get an opportunity to read the prima facie ruling. So if you say that it is frivolous, when you know that Ghanaians are also going to get a chance to read this thing and make their own judgment, you would you find that this is it's not on, because what you do is that you risk damaging your reputation. It's a huge risk they are taking. It's a huge risk. It's unnecessary. You see, it's not every situation that politicians should seek to, use to their advantage. No, because sometimes you try to ride every case and then you find out that the horse is unruly. You can't ride it, rather the horse will kick you. So this is one case I think that the risk they are running is way too high than the benefit that they would get. Mm-hmm. You see it? Yes. So that's the main point, that the risk is too high, because we are all going to read this for ourselves. Now, number two, in situations like this, to the extent that at least the public doesn't even know who it's going to be the next Chief Justice as claimed by the minority, it means that they are bastardizing the judiciary. Yes, that is exactly what they are seeking to do, because we don't know the candidate yet. Nothing has been said, and you're already telling us way ahead that there's a certain candidate who will be coming and he's a party sympathizer. I mean, the last time the Chief Justice, the current Chief Justice, was being taken through the processes, I didn't hear anybody go to say that. NDC was in opposition, but I didn't hear anybody say that the current Chief Justice is a sympathizer. Well, of course, people have their own private opinions, but did you see anybody come to say such a thing? So it means that the minority are now lowering the standard way below what should be done in a democracy. NDC, when they were in opposition, did not label the current Chief Justice as a party sympathizer when she was going through the process. So why would you come today to say ahead that a certain candidate that the NDC are bringing is a party sympathizer? And as I've said, you see, this particular press conference that the minority have held and have said all these things, they've crossed the Rubicon. That is crossing of the Rubicon, because what I mean is that now it's going to be a free-for-all fight in the sense that people on the other side, the petitioners and their supporters, will also find ways to hit back at the minority. They will find ways. Of course, we all live in Ghana. It's not difficult to predict, because you can't come and hit them this way, describe the petitions as frivolous, etc., and you think they will keep quiet. It doesn't need this. Nobody has asked them to do such a thing. Look, if anything were found to be untoward, the minority can go to court. You remember Domlevo's case when the Akufo-Addo didn't do the right thing? I led the CSOs. I led CDD, Bemboachi's African Center for Energy Policy, Senior Hosi's One Ghana Movement, Pence Blight, so many, over 10 Media Foundation for West Africa, etc. Yeah, 10 CSOs, etc. Eventually we won. And you see how it has blighted Akufo-Addo's governance record. Yes. So nobody would then make such a mistake the next time to tell an auditor general to proceed on leave. You see, so that's how we build. The Western democracies we see and which we admire, right? They didn't get all their accolades and their institutions overnight.
Right.
It took hundreds of years. Of course, we know that we don't have that much time, but it doesn't mean that we should run down institutions and individuals the manner in which the minority have done today.
Right. Council, I thank you very much for your thoughts on